Hey everyone, it's Jan, you're watching Language Boost, and today I'm sitting here with Lýdia Machová from Language Mentoring. Now, first of all, sorry for my voice. I arrived yesterday here in beautiful Chiang Mai, Thailand, where I have the opportunity to sit down with Lýdia. In this video, we're going to talk about Lýdia. You know, some of you guys might know Lýdia from her famous TED Talk, which was released like a month ago. It got like 1 million views in like how many days? Like
in 5 days.
In just 5 days. So who is Lýdia exactly? In this video, we're not necessarily going to talk too much about like how to learn languages, but we're just going to get to know a little bit about Lýdia and her background. Lýdia, tell us, you are a language mentor, right?
That's right.
What does it mean? What is a language mentor and why do people need one?
Okay, so a language mentor, in my definition, is someone who does not teach you a language, but helps you learn a language by yourself. And I believe this is actually the only way to ever learn any language, because that's how I learn languages, and all the polyglots I know, including you, actually learn languages too, right? And I believe, based on my experience and listening to a lot of people who have learned languages successfully, I believe this is the main problem with most people, that if they want to learn a language, they just find someone like a teacher in a language school or in their company who will teach them the language. And I just believe it doesn't work. So I needed to come up with something completely new, a brand new idea where people don't expect to be taught, but try learning by themselves.
These days people know you as a language mentor or as a polyglot. You speak like, I think, like 8 languages, is that correct?
That's right.
But you used to work as an interpreter, right? Tell us a little bit more about that career, and why did you decide to stop your career as an interpreter and actually focus more on helping people to learn a foreign language? How did that start, the journey?
Okay, so interpreting was my dream career ever since I was 16. Originally I wanted to be a writer, then a translator, and then I was like, I don't really want to write, I want to work with people, so I want to be an interpreter. And then I spent 8 years actually working on that, like really hard, becoming an interpreter. And I got to interpret some really interesting people in my career.
I've seen the pictures, like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. Who else was that?
Slovakia's first lady, Slovakia's former prime minister, a lot of ministers in Slovakia. So on the Slovak market, I was, I would say, a pretty successful interpreter. But I realized that, first of all, I want to help people learn languages because that's something I feel passionate about, and I always have. So besides this job, I was always teaching English in some ways as well, like whether it was at a university or in language schools in companies. But also at the same time, I was interested in creating my own business and in finding a job that will enable me to travel and also to be paid based on my knowledge and not based on the number of hours I have worked.
And that's what you're doing right now, and that's also what allows you to be here in Thailand, right? Let's get back to that interpretation job. What did you like about it, and what did you not like about it?
Okay, so what I loved about it, I actually loved the job. I think it's a really, really great job, because you get to work with really interesting people. Like if you interpret speakers like that, you get to meet them in person. Like Tony Robbins actually shook my hand, and it was so I not only got to an event where the cheapest tickets way in the back of a huge hall were 500 euros. I got to see the whole event from above, like from a very VIP position. And
you got paid for it on top.
Exactly. So you don't pay to go there; you get paid to be there. And on top, he came to meet us in person, and he thanked us like that. It was such an incredible thing, right? Like he has 4 bodyguards around him all the time, and so the first person who came into the interpreting booth was the bodyguard, and he was checking the room, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then walks in Tony Robbins, and you go like, "Oh my God, is this real?" Because if you want to meet Tony Robbins, you need to buy a VIP ticket, and we are talking like thousands of euros for that one meetup, right? So that was like pretty prestigious and cool. Let's see it as it is. But also the job itself is just so interesting. You need to be, of course, very good at those languages, and you need to be good at translating or interpreting.
Which language pairs do you do?
So I work with English and German. But mostly
Slovak.
Yes, exactly. But mostly English. Like I had very, very few German interpreting jobs. English is the language of conferences and business meetups. So I mostly work with English. But then it's so rewarding to be able to help people communicate. Like this is what I love about it. You have So you have the speaker who wants to share his message, but you have a lot of Slovak speakers in the audience who would not understand him, right? Yeah. And he makes a joke, and then you have half of the audience laughing, and like 3 seconds later the other half laughs because you were able to express what he said, right, and to put it across. So that was a very rewarding thing. What I did not like about it is, as I mentioned, being paid for the number of hours I work. So I was a freelancer and I was able to take as much time off as I wanted, but in this time I had no income, right? So it's nice on the one hand, on the other hand you really need to work hard when you are working.
I remember we once having a conversation, I think it was a long time ago, but you also told me that, you know, when you work as an interpreter, you're just translating someone else's message, right?
Yeah,
and with the
that's
things that you're doing right now, like for example this TED Talk, also being here in this video, actually you're sharing your own message.
Exactly. So that's something I felt, especially when sometimes I got to interpret people who are, okay, I don't want to say like interesting as people, but the things they were sharing were not as interesting, I believe. And there are a lot of conferences where they happen just because the people in that area need some credit because they attended a professional event, and you see these people are not really passionate about like learning about that stuff or sharing those that know-how that they have. So then I felt like, what am I doing here? You know, I'm paid to be here, I have to be here, but people are not really interested. And I also had some ideas that I wanted to share, such as you know, my passion for teaching people how to learn. So yeah, that was another reason why I decided to go another way.
And how did that go? Because I can imagine that, you know, it's not possible to just stop your work, your job as an interpreter, and all of a sudden have like this audience and people know you as Lydia from language mentoring. So how did that happen? How did you roll into this world? You have also been you were the organizer of the Polyglot event in Bratislava, of course.
That's it.
How was language mentoring born, and how did you manage to convince the people that learning a language is actually not so much about being taught, but more about, you know, just getting out there and practice and do the hard work yourself?
So when I was starting, I was no one who, you know, like who thinks that, you know, this will work, but I only had my own experience to show for it. And I remember a lot of people from among my friends or relatives were very skeptical. It's like, so you want to teach people how to learn languages? You want to base a business on it? Like, come on, who will ever pay you for learning by themselves, right? Like this doesn't work. And I was always very clear about it. Like, I believe it's the only way that will work. And I actually just want to work with people who understand this. Like, yes, it's maybe a smaller portion of people. If I was selling a super fixed solution that will teach you the language in 2 weeks, I believe I would be more successful in selling, but not in helping those people, because that's impossible. It doesn't work anyway. So I said, okay, I just want to work with those people who understand it. And the way how I started it was, I did a lot of work for free for several months. I organized groups of friends who wanted to work on a language, and I said, okay, let's meet once a week. I will help you learn the language. I will help you understand how this works, and you don't need to pay me anything in return. It's just I want to see how that works. And then I did an experiment with 100 university students who were eager to improve a language, and that worked really, really well. I had amazing success stories among those students, and that's when I decided to offer it to the public. Sold the first live seminar in Bratislava, and people got interested. So
how many live seminars have you given in Slovakia?
Altogether 13, yeah. And then I decided to go online and offer this as a video course so that more people can see it, and I don't have to do it live again.
You were also featured in one of Slovakia's main media outlets, right? Newspapers. I think you were on television there as well, and now people also know you internationally thanks to this TED Talk and many other things. So yeah, Lydia, was really interesting to having the opportunity to sit down here with you, sharing this story with you guys on YouTube. If you want to know more about Lydia, then go to her website, languagementoring.com.
Yes, that's right.
Any final thoughts that you want to share with the people who are watching this video? Any tips about learning a language?
Well, tip number one, go watch my TED Talk and you will get 10 minutes of tips. Okay, that's the shortest one. No, but just one thing I want to share with people. I honestly believe that anyone can learn a language by themselves, and it really is not about being talented or having luck or I don't know what else, having the language gene. I really honestly believe everyone can do it, and I've seen people have that type of results if they start, if they maybe change their mindset about learning a language, if they don't take it as something that is necessary because we have it at school, but they start to look for the ways that they would enjoy spending time with, and that's basically the whole secret.
If you want to learn more about how you can enjoy learning a language, check out more about Lydia on her website. You can find the link in the description below. And that was it for today, guys, and thanks for watching. Greeting from Chiang Mai, Thailand.